So here we are, part 5 of the Beggar's journey. You know, I have a lot of fun making these videos and talking about the shenanigans DSP got up to in the past, but damn, sometimes this shit made me feel like I'm back in high school doing all this research. And it makes me feel all the worse when I miss some things, but luckily, y'all got my back and help point out the shit I miss. Like in my last video, I forgot to mention that Pandalini and Phil actually got engaged for a while, and he got a disengagement ring that turned out to be fake. He pretended to not know what this was at first, but then flat out admitted what we already knew.
Here's what you did. You get 3 medals.
Oh my god!
3 quips. Give out your gold, silver, and bronze medals now.
I don't even know what that means. Leanna's fake engagement ring. Huh? What does that mean? I never gave her an engagement ring. I don't understand. Is there something in the detractor circles about a fake engagement ring? What are you talking about? I didn't give her an engagement ring. What? People are weird.
Okay,
what does that even mean?
And gold.
Why is it gonna win? It's stupid. Some stupid inside joke that I don't understand.
The points for you.
What does that mean? It won, and it makes no sense whatsoever to anyone who's not into your inclusive circle jerking circle. That made no sense at all. What does that mean? Is there actually like some kind of a joke about an engagement ring? Huh? The truth of the matter, folks, and this is something I have not talked about until today, so big reveal here. The engagement was legit, but it really was a band-aid on an already broken relationship, all right? Already we had multiple discussions where we were not happy where we were, and we had wanted to, if you remember at that point, I made it so that instead of only having a half day where we run out and did errands together, instead I was taking a whole day. So basically, my ex and I could spend personal time together and then run and do our errands and everything, so it would be a better day. But even then, we were taking days, and we would like, what do you want to do today? I don't know. What do you want to do? I really don't know. I'm stressed out. I really don't care. Well, then let's just fucking do whatever. And it wouldn't matter. It would be like a wasted day. We wouldn't do anything significant or anything fun together because really, it was kind of like we were so stressed out about everything else, we just didn't care. And that was terrible, you know? So what ended up happening was, I had purchased an engagement ring for my ex-girlfriend almost a full year beforehand, all right? And the plans that we had made were that, gee, if things finally get financially stable, we wanted to go to California together. We wanted to do a mini vacation. It wasn't going to be like a long, expensive vacation. Maybe 2-3 days in California where we could go to like Universal Studios for a day or Disneyland for a day. And I would propose to her there. Okay.
He is a very terrible liar, and he tells so many lies that it's hard for him to keep up with him. He's also full of nothing but empty promises, and today, I wanted to shine a light on one of his more infamous scams that further justifies his current downfall. But before we get into all that, please be sure to hit the subscribe button. We are making great progress to 14K subscribers, and I appreciate all of you for joining this great brotherhood. So without nothing much more to say, let's take a trip back to the past.
Watch this. I don't remember it happening like this.
What do you expect? He just jumped out a fucking turtle. Ugh.
For those of you who don't know, Project 7 was an internet series where DarkSydePhil would be held against his will by a character named Deathface and would be forced to play shitty video games until the end of time. DSP later canned this series, stating that he was just too focused on recording the new releases than trying to record any new episodes. Well, Howard, a former friend of DarkSydePhil, had a group of friends named Respect the Pack, and they all suggested they remake Project 7 and take a different spin with the series. Surprisingly, the fans liked the new Project 7, and it was very well received, but little did they know that things behind the scenes wasn't going so good. Howard and Phil were falling out due to Phil being the only one profiting from Project 7, even though his friends from Respect the Pack were doing almost all the work. John was starting to see Phil's true colors unfold and would later grow distant from him as well. This all pretty much came to an end when Phil moved out to Seattle and never really got into contact with him again after that. This would mean the end of Project 7, much to his fans' disappointment.
In addition to that, there are the other vlogs and series that I want to start, including the YouTube parody series that I have in mind, the movie series that a lot of people have been asking me about, and that's actually not even a hard one for me to do. I just need to find the time to do it. And there's also the Project 7 reboot. So there's tons of vlogging style videos and edited series and projects that I've got in the works in my head. I just need the time to work on them, and I'm thinking as we move into February that's where I'm really going to have more time, okay?
So in the beginning of 2015, these people go on social media and post on its forums talking about a possible revival to the Project 7 series. I'll go ahead and read a statement he made on his forums regarding the topic of Project 7 and what became of it. So what was Project 7? It was intended to be a comedy gameplay series where I was forced to play shitty games from my past that I really disliked. It was going to be a mix of both gameplay, comedy skits, commentary, and more. Basically imagine the above 3 videos, but I'm also playing through a game that I really don't like and make fun of it constantly. It would not be a full playthrough at all, but instead only focusing on fun, entertaining, stupid parts of the game that I can make jokes about, etc. Ultimately, this project was abandoned when new games came out, and I wanted to focus on playing them rather than massive amounts of video editing, etc. Keep in mind, this was long before I adopted direct capture, got a great PC that could edit videos more easily. This was also during the time I still had a full-time job outside of gaming, so I had far less time to work on it. Ah yeah, I forgot to mention around this time DSP got fired from his helicopter job his dad got him on. He made a video addressing the situation and basically told his fans he was going to be e-begging from now on.
Well, bottom line is this. I went into work today and they laid me off. So I no longer have a full-time job. I'm unemployed. And this means a lot of things. Some good, some bad. I see both sides of every situation. I try to look at it and take everything with a grain of salt and understand. The thing is this, you know, it's easy to be very negative and say, oh, this is bullshit. America sucks. The economy sucks. They're laying everyone off. And I'm sure that a lot of people watching this video know someone personally, either a friend, either a loved one, a relative who's been laid off recently. And so I'm thinking a lot. I'm thinking a lot about things, about what I'm doing with YouTube, about whether or not I want to go back to the kind of job that I was just in, whether I want to, now that I have the time. You know, I've always said I do my YouTube videos as a side project, as a hobby. Well, now that I have the time to do it, can I put full time, like this is a real job? Can I put 8 to 10 hours a day into it? These people took this normal stuff that they were doing in comedy videos and stuff, and they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. So, it's possible.
Now fast forward to late 2011. Howard introduces me to Respect the Pack, 2 up-and-coming filmmakers who want to get their hands into a project. They seen my stuff on YouTube and think that rebooting Project 7 would be a perfect opportunity to do something great. Over the next 6 months, we worked hard to put out 4 episodes of the newly rebooted Project 7, which now feature myself, John Rambo, and Howard, as well as a slew of special guests, OJ and Respect the Pack themselves in prominent roles. Rather than focusing on one game, it became a larger scale story where we did parodies of entire game genres and worlds. It was good for what it was, but ultimately, Respect the Pack wanted to change focus and not do so much filmmaking anymore. They left the project, leaving it ultimately on permanent hiatus. So this had his fans pretty pumped up and excited to see a series they once loved come back. And the only thing they had to do to get this series running again was donate to his Patreon. Yes, Phil set up a goal for a certain amount. I believe it was $1,000 or so, but I could be wrong. His fans were able to get it done pretty quickly though. His Patreon at this time was at its peak, and now his fans were awaiting the new revival of Project 7.
Our next question. This one comes from Sir Dies a Lot, and he asks the following. He says, Phil, for the reimagination of Project 7, would you consider adding some fans to the mix by, let's say, maybe some voice acting of a certain character or something of like that? I think that would definitely add more variety to the series, and it could bring the community between you and your fans more together or more close together. Actually, and you may be surprised at this, although many people might not if you've been a long-time viewer, when I was doing Project 7 originally, that was going to be part of it, and even the reboot that I did years later, that was going to be part of it. Fan interaction was actually going to be a key part of Project 7, where I was going to have people maybe who were like, oh, they could send me a video of them on webcam or whatever. Oh, I'm going to try to help Phil or save Phil, or I'm going to mess with the Deathface character and interfere. At the end of the Project 7 reboot series, I was going to have an episode. Yeah, I was actually going to go all out, and probably at a convention or whatever that I was attending, I was going to have many of my fans who showed up at the convention film scenes where we all do stuff together. So that was actually always an idea of mine for the series, and then neither series really got to the point where I could implement that, alright? With this new Project 7 reboot, I'm going to be honest with you guys, because I know some people have been asking about it and saying, what's the status and what's going on with it and how's it going to work? It's going to start like a comedy series where you're going to be seeing me do skits and doing interaction with certain characters and such that are going to be involved in it. Before we maybe even get to any gameplay, because I really feel that having the spirit of the series be about
comedy and writing and bad acting and that kind of stuff like the original series was should be what it's focused on, not on, oh, Phil's playing a game. You know what I mean? So what I think I'm going to do is maybe have a few setup episodes, get the premise of the series rolling, and then once the series is finally rolling, then we can say, okay, well, on each episode, maybe we have a special guest who can be involved or something like that. Keep in mind, it's an interesting premise, but at the same time, I haven't written the series out to that point yet. I definitely have milestones in the series of things that I'm planning on doing, but not necessarily things that I've set in stone that this is what I'm going to do, okay? I'm very excited to redo Project 7, or not redo, but reboot Project 7 for its original intention and purpose. That's going to be coming in February. At least I'll be working on it in the month of February. I don't want to promise anyone that, oh, it's definitely coming out episode 1 or anything like that. I think you're going to like it once it's out, but I think a lot of people may. I just want to, up front, I got to tell you this. It's not going to be like that series from 2012, where it was amazing with all these graphics and great editing and No. That's not what it's going to be. It's going to be very different, but I think that people will still find it entertaining, okay? More on that coming up soon.
But as they waited, they weren't receiving much updates on how the project was going. DSP was still doing his usual playthroughs and live streams while collecting all the money he was receiving from Patreon. And as days turned to weeks, and weeks turned to months, his fans were growing more concerned about the fate of Project 7. And then, it happened. Phil stated that he was going to be too busy playing the new up-and-coming Street Fighter V beta, and Project 7 was going to be suspended indefinitely. It was very clear that his fans didn't take too kindly to this news, and they were making their opinions heard. Even some of his most loyal supporters were pulling their support from DarkSydePhil, like KG, who was always defending DSP somewhere, but it didn't take long for him to join the cult again. The Kool-Aid is just too good. This really opened up a lot of people's eyes and showed that the things his detractors were saying about him was true all along. Phil was just a greedy scumbag who couldn't even take an hour out of his day to film a trailer for the people who were funding his lifestyle. These people were donating their hard-earned dollars to this loser's Patreon.
And what did they get? Gugats. That's what they got.
And the best part about all of this was the fact that Phil couldn't justify this at all. He knew what he did was a scummy move, so he just stayed silent about the whole thing until he could somehow find a way to change the goalposts. He needed to spin it around to be his fans' fault instead of his.
Now, in regards to all this other nonsense, but Phil promised Project 7 and never delivered. Wrong. Never happened. I promised a trailer for Project 7, which was going to be like 5 minutes long. And based on the trailer feedback, I was going to determine whether or not I was actually going to make the series or not. And what ended up happening was that summer, I got so busy with new releases, people literally said to me, we'd rather have you cover the new stuff and play games than do this trailer. So I did. So I literally did what the viewers asked, and the detractors lied and made up this big story that I promised Project 7 as a Patreon goal and never made it. Complete lie. 100% wrong. But people believe it because they're stupid. And they don't do research, just like I mentioned earlier. Oh, you went back and quitted a Patreon-funded goal. Wrong. That's never happened. The only goal I've never done was the Project 7 trailer because the viewers told me not to do it. So, you know, people are just dumb. I don't know what else to say. If you believe that shit, I mean, I'm sorry for you. I really am. That you can't do 3 seconds of research to find out what really happened. Because you're always going to be a sheep led by your balls, basically. You're always going to be led by a carrot or ball, whatever it is. Whatever people tell you believe just for drama's sake. You probably love TMZ and you probably follow the Kardashians around too. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. If you really believe that shit, you're gullible. It's not true. And, you know, that's why, honestly, the reason most people hate me on the internet is because of those complete bullshit stories. Phil stole fan donations that went towards a Project 7 reboot. Phil stole fan donations that went towards a Project 7 reboot. Every statement in that is false. All right? Besides maybe my name. Stole? I didn't steal anything. What they're talking about is a Patreon goal level that was hit for 1 month in the summer of like 2015. Maybe it was 2016, but I'm almost positive it was as far back as 2015. Not stole. It was raised legitimately via a Patreon goal level. All right? Fan donations, they weren't fan donations, they were Patreon contributions. That's different. That went towards a Project 7 reboot. Wrong. It wasn't for a Project 7 reboot. It was for me to take some time out that month to do a Project 7 reboot trailer. A trailer that was probably going to be 30 seconds long. Okay? So for years I've been slandered being told that you stole money from your viewers for a Project 7 reboot, and none of that statement is true at all. What really happened was, when I used to do Patreon more heavily, because I was more heavily into YouTube videos rather than streaming, I would have these goal levels set on Patreon. And so it would be like, if we raise $200-something this month, I'll do this. If we raise $500 this month, I'll do this. If we raise $850, I'll do this. And one of the goal levels that month was I would take time away from doing gameplay for a while, probably maybe, 2-3 nights a week, to work on this Project 7 reboot trailer. If I remember correctly, it was like a tier 3 goal, so we had already hit 2 goals below it. So it was probably something like, and I have no idea if this is actually what it was at this point, so please don't take this as a fact. I'm going to estimate it was like, the goal was from $450 to $800. So if we raised those $350 extra dollars, I would make the trailer. So essentially what you're saying is $350 raised to pay for my time that I'm not going to be making videos, to make up for those lost videos, because I raised it via Patreon. I'm going to work on a Project 7 trailer. Okay? So essentially, that's what was supposed to happen. It didn't happen. And the reason it didn't happen is for 2 reasons. Number one, because that summer, there was a lot of other stuff going on. And people actually knew there was a very busy gaming season coming up that fall with lots of hot new releases they wanted to see me play. But during the summer, there were other games that had been coming out that people wanted to see me play and complete before the fall season hit. And I actually publicly asked my viewers, do you guys want to see the Project 7 trailer that, from Patreon, or you would rather see me do all this other stuff? And publicly, the consensus was, do the other stuff. We don't really care about the Project 7 trailer. All right, back then I used to struggle, because every month I was struggling. I need 2-3 goals for Patreon. I would just pull shit out of my ass that sometimes people didn't really care about, and honestly, that Project 7 trailer was really one of them. In fact, I will be very honest with all of you. It actually hurt me, because I was like, man, I let people down. There was someone who actually really cared about this trailer, and I let him down because he really wanted to see it. But outside of that, no one else cared. All right?
The trolling was at its all-time high at this point as well. I'll say this was the moment people were starting to see Phil as a scammer who would do anything for $1. The way he pulled the rug on his own fan base showed exactly why you can't trust him at all. And with all this trolling going on, it was only a matter of time before he became the target of a new fad that was growing in the live streaming community. In the middle of 2015, right after canceling the Project 7 reboot, Phil was swatted.
They all have these super... Hold on. They all have these super... Uh-oh. Hold on. Hold on, everyone. I think I might have some cops outside. Hold on. You heard that, honey? Honey? Cops outside. Yep. The cops are outside. We're coming. Come outside with your hands up. Come on, honey. Someone called the cops. It's alright. We're coming. We're fine. They already know what's going on. I hope. No. We're here.
Plug one. Cat and go. Clear.
Okay. It's a gamer shit.
Hell yeah, it's a lot of gamer shit.
Alright. You can tack back. Can't if you're in the house is clear, you can tack back.
You know what drives me nuts, you guys? When you're trying to drive to call and get the information, and as things update the call.
Yeah.
Like people.
In the bathroom. Okay. Woo. I'll call my dad first, because he'll be the most concerned, then I'll call my mom.
All right. We're back. That was quick. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we just had our first swatting, which is fine because the police knew exactly what was going on. They came by, they talked to me for about 5 minutes about what was going on. They said, thank you for calling us and letting us know ahead of time what was happening, because they fully expected that we were fine. And they had a nice conversation with me for about 5 minutes, said, have a good day, and, continue on. So, ladies and gents, guess what? We're continuing on with Batman. The swatters managed to interrupt me for 5 whole minutes. Let's applaud, everyone. All right, hold on. I got a tweet about this too. Let's do a nice little tweet. What a bunch of idiots.
I want to go ahead and state that I do not condone swatting of any kind. Sending police to an innocent person's house just because you don't like them is one of the most beta moves you could ever pull, and the person who swatted DSP is even more retarded than he is. Swatting isn't a prank or a joke. It's a very serious offense and has actually led to the deaths of innocent people. It's bad for the victim and the officers who have to waste their time on a false situation instead of being available for a more serious crime. And while in the DSP's case, the swatting was over pretty quick, it still shouldn't have happened at all. So while Phil was sitting there playing Batman Arkham, police interrupted the screen to tell him to come outside. Phil got up and told Panda Lee about the situation, and they both went outside to speak to the officers. Their house was later searched, and the only thing the police could find in there was a lot of gamer shit. The situation was handled pretty well, and was over with quickly. You could hear in that video that DSP was very relaxed, even as the swatting was going on. You could even hear him state that the police already knew what was going on. The reason for this was because Phil had already notified the officers that something like this could occur, so if they ever showed up to his house, it was most likely a false report. You can even hear Phil bragging about this as he made his way back to the screen. And while I don't think it's wrong for him to make fun of the person who swatted him, notice how relaxed he was about the whole situation as it happened. Not once did he feel like or made it seem like his life was in any danger. Well, after this all went down, Phil made a video the next day talking about the situation with his fans.
Unfortunately, I have to say this. I hate the fact that I have to say it, but today was a milestone for completely the opposite reasons of anything that I would like to say or talk about. But because of what happened, because of course it is such a dramatic event, such a traumatic event, and quite honestly, such a dangerous event that happened today, I felt that I would come out myself only a couple hours after it happened. I would explain to you exactly what happened in regards to me being swatted today, because that is the subject of this video. Explain the circumstances around it, and basically lay down my feelings about it and get it off my chest. Because the bottom line is, when something like this happens, you can't just, even though I need to say this is business as usual, this is life as usual, just keep moving on, which I'm going to do. I didn't interrupt my work earlier today for it or anything like that, and I don't plan on massively changing or doing anything different with my work in the future. And as of right now, I'm laying down the fucking law. If you want to give me legit criticism, go for it. I am never going to reject a legit criticism. But from this moment on, I want everyone who's watching this video to listen up and to please give this a shot. When you see someone on Twitter saying some shit about me, responding like in a really nasty fucking way to something that I said, when you see a ridiculously one-sided, slanted video on YouTube of stuff, gee, they took a quote from here and a quote from there, and they're working this negative case against Phil, right? I want you to say, Phil almost died. Phil could have been shot to death by these people. Not to say that the people who are making that video or making that tweet are the ones who did this today and swatted me. But those people inadvertently contributed to it. Because the bottom line is, in 2012, when this whole negativity movement started, people loved me. They thought, wow, Phil is a good person on YouTube, and he makes gameplay videos, and he's been here since 2008. He did it for 2 years before he ever made $1 doing it, and people absolutely love his content. All of a sudden in 2012, when people started, oh, let's do this, let's make funny montages of Phil failing, the whole internet changes and goes against me, right? Was there a moment when did I come out here in full, some kind of fucking Nazi regalia? Did I come out here saying racist shit and epithets and shooting guns off? No, there may have been moments in my content where there were jokes that were related to stuff like that, but they were jokes versus me actually coming out and trying to really insult groups of people, okay?
As you can see, he used the swatting as a way to deflect from the trolling he was receiving. It was yet another scummy move, and as you saw in the video, the police wasn't acting aggressive to him at all. They were actually pretty friendly and understanding. There have been much worse cases of swatting. Phil didn't even get a gun pointed to his face. But the swatting did sort of work in Phil's favor, as people were already forgetting about Project 7. So, right after getting swatted, DSP was DDoS, not once, but twice. And I feel like I need to say that I don't condone the act of DDoS on someone as well. He made yet another video addressing the topic, but then goes on to say some of the most despicable shit I have ever heard.
Back then, in June, when I was DDOS attacked and swatted, their excuse, oh, well, Phil will say that we caused, but we didn't do it. We don't condone DDOS attacking, and we don't condone swatting. Well, what happened today is just as dangerous as someone putting a gun in my face. Because if I can't pay my bills, if I get my house fucking, foreclosed on because I can't stream or do videos anymore, which is what my job is, that's just as threatening as someone putting a gun in my face. So you have threatened my life, you've threatened my livelihood, and it's just as fucking bad as being swatted. So now, let's talk turkey. Because the person who did this to me, alright,
the fact that he equated getting DDoS and not being able to scream to getting a gun pointed to his face shows how much he's been sheltered his whole life. DSP would never know the feeling of having a gun pointed at him and what it feels like when you know your life is about to end. He was a spoiled kid who was never taught about respect and was never punched in the mouth when he stepped out of line. And yes, we don't condone swatting or DDoSing, but the fact that he would compare that to someone pointing a gun to his face when none of that actually happened is disgusting. Maybe if he wasn't such a liar and a scammer, these things wouldn't happen to him. But Phil has shown countless times that he refuses to learn from his past. He is truly a lost cause.